Hey everyone, it's Mark from MSD Defense. Today's video is on the field stripping of the Glock19 GenX. Pretty basic to take apart. Glocks come apart all the same, so if you've got a Glock 21 or a Glock 43X like I do as well, it'll come apart the same way. Let's go ahead and get to cleaning. Alright everyone, so here I have my Glock19 GenX. As you can see, I've already locked the slide to the rear. You can see there is no magazine in it, nothing in the chamber. I have no ammunition in my workspace as always. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start the field stripping. So normally what we'll do is we'll need to rack it a few times to ensure that it is empty, and you also want to make sure that it is ready to fire because you will have to press the trigger to remove the slide. So keeping it in a safe direction, I'll come across the top again, not allowing my hand to be in front, and I'll rack it 3 times. And now what you need to do is you need to press the trigger to release your striker assembly before taking off the slide. And so again, be very careful with that. I always double check out of a habit. I'll do a chamber check just to ensure that there is nothing in there, even though I just racked it 3 times. That's a training habit I picked up in law enforcement. We'll always do that to make sure that it is clear. Okay, now that I've racked it 3 times, I need to press the trigger before removing the slide. Here in my workspace, on my workbench, I have a Guardian compact clearing trap. It can take anything up to a .44 Magnum. They also make them for rifles. I use pistols most of the time, so this is actually mounted to my bench, so it won't go anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in towards the front just in case. Even though again I've racked it 3 times, this is just a good habit to get into, as you always want to treat any pistol or rifle or shotgun like it's loaded. So I'll press it in there towards the front in case, and I'll get a good firm grip on it. Again, this is just a good habit to get in so that if by chance there is a round in the chamber when you're doing something, you won't accidentally shoot yourself or somebody else. So I'll just press it towards the trap, keep a good firm grip, and I'll go ahead and press the trigger. Okay, and now I'm ready to go ahead and complete the disassembly. Okay, now that I've pressed the trigger, you can see it's set back, and we're ready to go. On the lower, you've got these little tabs. You'll see one on each side of my pistol. And what you need to do is you need to bring the slide back a little bit so that this cut is further back that's in the slide, and you want to pull both tabs down at the same time. The easiest way I have found to do this is to grip from the back and over the top and just pull the slide back with my one hand. And now I've got it back just a little bit. You can see the cut is more lined up. I'll reach underneath, pull both tabs down, release the slide, and it'll come forward and off, just like that. Okay, now I've got my lower separated. I'll set that aside. And again, as you'll see in most of these semi-automatics, obviously you're going to have your recoil spring and barrel. Take the recoil spring out. I just push it forward so it comes off the little tab in there, little cut. Pull it out, and it's done. The recoil spring, just remember, you want the larger, like looking almost like a donut, goes forward, and your little flat side goes to the rear, which will fit in the slot of the barrel. You can set that aside, and you could work your barrel out, and you're set. So now what I end up with is my slide, my barrel, my recoil spring, and the lower portion of it. Okay, now that I've got it apart in my basic field strip configuration, if you will, this is it. I'm good to go. So I'll clean it like I normally do, using my solvent on all my surfaces, paying a little extra attention to my extractor. As in all my videos, if you've seen from my other semi-automatics, I like to use a pipe cleaner, and I'll put some solvent on it. I'll fold it in half to make it a little more sturdy, and I'll run it underneath the extractor back and forth like a little saw, and that I have found gets any buildup out of there really well, much better than just using a Q-tip. I have the double-edged Q-tips for everything else. Then I'll go ahead and wipe everything down, and we'll clean it up. And again, everybody has different solvents. I use Hoppy solvent. I use Shooter solvent. Um, there's so many out there. Find something that you like. Everything works pretty good. One of the newer things that I've started doing, especially primarily with my barrel, is I'll take my barrel and I'll soak it into some solvent in either a little glass container or something that'll hold the solvent, and let it soak for a little bit, especially after I've been firing 500 1,000 rounds at the range. I want to make sure I get everything out of there. You can use it on other parts as well. Obviously, it's not going to damage it. I prefer just primarily on the barrel. And then again, as my other videos show, I like to use compressed air of some sort, whether it be a compressor, a little can that you would use for your computer and whatnot. And I'll blow all the build up and debris out of all the small spots until I get it clean. And as usual, that's it. I'll be ready to put it back together. And to do that, again, make sure we're always safe. I'll put some oil on it. What I like to do so I don't over oil anything is I'll put oil on my Q-tip, and I have a little bottle of Hoppy's number 9 oil here. I'll put it on the end of the tip, and then I'll place it in spots where I need it. You could see any wear spots. There aren't too many on this one. I've got a little bit on the inside top of the slide here where the barrel goes back and forth. So I'll put just a little bit there, very little bit. Put a little bit here on the slides, top here. I'll put a drop of oil where the barrel lug is because this moves back and forth. It's kind of like a pivot point, if you will. And I'll put a little bit on the lower. The one thing about the Glock that I learned when I went to Glock school is that it requires very minimal oil. This isn't like an older type pistols you might have where you got to put a lot of oil on it. So I'll just put a very little bit of oil on there. I don't want to over oil it. Reassembly is simple. Okay, we're going to go back and just do it backwards. So I'll take the barrel, I'll put it back in with the lugs up top. I'll take my recoil spring, the big donut one, goes forward, and you just push forward in, and you'll see there's a little cut in the slide there, a little notch, if you will, and that it'll fit right in. Then I'm just going to take my lower, line it up back with the slide. I'll flip it over, and I'll bring it back, and I'll lock it to the rear. And that's it. I've now reassembled it. I'm good to go. I'll rack it a few times. And again, you could also dry fire it and test it if you need to. I usually do. Sometimes I'll also run dummy rounds through a magazine just to make sure they're ejecting properly. Once this is done, the last thing I'll do, and I do this on all my pistols, is I'll take some Hoppy's silicone cloth here and I'll rub it along the outside of the slide, and then I'll just take a cleaning pad and I'll rub off the excess, and then I'll be done. This is obviously not metal, I don't need it there, but I'll do this on all my semi-automatics, especially living in Texas. We do get humidity here. I personally have never had any problem with rust on any of my firearms, but I've heard a lot of people complaining that they have, so I think that helps a lot. Clean your weapon after every use and you should be good to go. And that's it. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I hope the video was helpful. As you can see, the Glocks come apart pretty easily. The only main difference between that and a lot of other semi-automatics is you have to press the trigger and pull some tabs down as opposed to a takedown lever. If you're interested in any other services we offer and training, go to msddefense.com. Until next time, keep your powder dry, stay safe, and I'll see you at the range.